Hello. Hi
Hi.
there. It's me and Ginger here, and we've got stuff to share with you. Now, lots of different things, but there's a few things I want to talk about. One's the fork. So remind me to tell me about the fork, but I'm going to start with this amazing thing that happened to me the other day. I live on an island, for those of you that don't know, and there's another island just adjacent. In fact, there's four islands in a group, and one of those islands hasn't got any shops on it. So this guy here comes pulling up. You can see he's just pulled up because that's the waves from him pulling up. And behind him, he's towing his dog on a surfboard. And the dog's got his own little life jacket. You see a little life jacket on him. He's actually quite a big dog. He must be one of these big poodles, one of these full-size poodles. And I just thought it was so cute. I wish I had got a video of the boat actually in action with the dog surfing behind because it was hilarious. But unfortunately, I didn't because I wasn't quick enough. I wasn't quick enough to get my camera out. So I wanted to share that. So that's that
I
share.
love seeing things like that. I really
Um,
do. It just brings a lot of joy to my
oh
heart. I think, dogs are so loyal and,
yeah,
I had a husky once, and if you've ever had a husky,
I've had
you'll learn that
Larimer.
these are very independent thinkers, and they will not do anything you tell them to do
No,
unless you do it first. Like, some dogs, you give them a command and they'll do it without question. You're the boss, all right. And other dogs are, nuh-uh, you first. And
I
the
had a
husky is very much like that, but
I had a
they would do
Malamute,
something like that
and
to be with you.
he was male, right? And he's absolutely. I've got this neighbor that's male, and when this male neighbor used to come over, he's called Ray. Him and Ray had a bit of a ownership thing going on there, bit of
Yeah,
male
yeah.
testosterone. Anyway, so one day Ray was doing some work on the house, and I'd made him this fabulous wrap and put the wrap on the table. And the dog Ray walked in to come in to get his lunch, and the dog put two paws up out of the side of the bench and then licked the wrap from one end to the other, and then got down and then looked at
Oh,
Ray and went, "What are you going to do now? Is it mine or yours?"
might as well give it to me now. No, there's a rule here that dogs can do no wrong. I mean, really, I mean, they're just children to me. They're like, they have the capacity, the best case scenario of a 2 or 3 year old, the mental capacity. So
I
it's just
know
pure
it's
innocence,
beautiful,
pure
beautiful.
spirit energy, absolutely beautiful energy from puppy to,
I know,
the
I know.
oldest. And they're just gorgeous,
All right,
wonderful to have around.
so we're going to be talking about chi, prana
Yeah.
a lot today. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was, and I don't know whether it's going to work or not, I've done it one other time, is one day we're on here and and I was with the girl and she was showing me that you can bend a fork without any bother at all. And all you do is you basically put the fork in your hand, you hold the fork in your hand, and you just kind of think about the fork on the upside while you're doing other stuff. So you just like putting chi into the fork with intention, right? This fork's going to bend. And when she did it, she just bent the fork. But with this one, I went to the op shop and I bought 8 forks to trial it, and I haven't tried it yet. So I'm just going to sit with this fork for a bit until it just gets really loose and just like talk with the fork and stuff.
It's already done. It's already bent, Kim.
It's
If
already
you can
bent.
imagine it bending, it's already done. It's
Okay.
about our ability to visualize it already done, and then walk as though it's already done.
Well, I'll let you know
And
when it.
like, so let it go. So there's no waiting to see if there's none of that. It's just already done.
Well, when
And
it.
it's like that. It's instant. And not that I've done it, but I do feel very strongly that this is how it's done. I believe it's done in the mind.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it for a little bit and hold it in my hand and
Yeah,
see if it works. Right. So the
it's
next
already done.
we were talking about was this concept of humans glowing,
I said
right?
that really lights me up. I was so happy when you brought that to my attention.
So humans glow, we just can't see it. The human emits visible light known as human bioluminescence, but it's just too dim for our eyes to detect. Now, when he says it's too dim for our eyes to detect, I was talking to Ginger and saying to Ginger that um, I've spent a lot of my life working in airports. And for some reason, when people get to airports, a lot of people are agitated. And whether or not that's just the stress of going away, because it's Australia, international, they're going away for a long time. So the dog ran away, or the missus was late, or somebody left an oven on and they had to drive back and turn the oven off, or the guy that was bringing them to the airport was late, or everybody's always stressed in airports, right? They're all like stressed to their max, and all it takes is one thing to like push them over the edge. Now, because I did this job for like 15 years, you got to the stage where you could see them walking through the door. It wasn't a
Here it
conscious
comes.
thought.
Here it comes. It was a knowing,
It was
and
a
you
knowing,
could
and
you could feel it.
you could,
You were
you,
ready for it,
I,
bracing yourself probably.
it could be a bioluminescence, but one of the things that you could do with it is you could, how did you say, intercede? You could actually see the person go, oh, there's trouble. And then you could walk over to them and you could intercede or precede the next instant. So you could go over to them and say, hi, where are you traveling to today? And that sort of takes them back a bit because they're anticipating like blowing their stack or something. And the fact that you've come over and you've addressed them in a sort of like kind of forceful, not forceful way, but like taking control
It's,
of the situation.
it's like you popped the thought bubble that they're trapped in.
Yeah,
So whatever's
yeah,
causing them to scowl, like so many people walk around with a big scowl on their face, and you can tell that
yeah,
they're,
yeah,
really angry at something.
yeah,
Is it something that happened today? Who knows?
yeah.
But they're really carrying it. And so we are they, we carry it. And it's about being conscious of our whole energy body. And, part of that energy body includes our emotional body and our mental body. It's in their spirit body. And this is what we're talking about here is the elements. And if you look at it in that way, it's alchemy and it's having balance in the body. And it's not easy to do that in this day and age because mostly our thoughts are creating the story. So when we're running around scowling and thinking these horrible thoughts about things that we probably can't control or change or, even have any true familiarity with in some cases, it's just what we heard that could tip us. And it doesn't take much. So it's important for us to take the reins of that powerful chariot and not be that person at the airport that's, needing to be managed.
And stealing, like vampiring people's energy. Like they come in and they pounce like a tiger.
All about
So,
them.
so the
Yeah.
other thing about this, right? There's two things about it actually. One is that I actually suspect this is the same thing that they call the aura. This bioluminescence is potentially the same thing that you could call the aura. And the aura technically is like rainbow colors, like the same, like lucidity as a rainbow. So it's the aura. Very rarely do you see like it's very rare to see a full on rainbow. Usually it's like, is that a rainbow? Isn't it? And the aura is the same thing. It's like dim, not dim, dim. Um, so what was the thing?
Yeah. No, about it being like the rainbow. I agree with that. And because the rainbow is energy expressing itself, I feel as though the rainbow is always there, but only visible to us at a certain, when the conditions are right, when the
Okay,
lighting is right. That
so
I think is a big piece of it. I think that the rainbow is always there, the same as the auric field is always there, but dimmed down to a great degree, I would say.
so I can actually see your aura. You're in a perfect. position now for me to see your aura because you've got a
Oh
blank
my goodness.
background. It's green.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I
Well,
I
that's
shouldn't I
great.
shouldn't have said that. I should have let other people see if they could see it.
Well,
But
if you can see it, I think that's great.
it's certainly
And
green. It's green down sort of down well down that side actually, the one I'm looking at you. So it would actually be this side, but it's actually that side when I'm looking at you. It's
that's
green all
very
down
cool.
there, green around your neck. But it'd be
That's
interesting
cool.
to see what other people see because green's healing.
Green
Um,
is healing. Green to me is the energy of love. It's the energy of the heart. It's to me, it's all about nature. Nature is predominantly green. You know, it's the now what do they call it? Chlorophyll. It's a part of who we
so
are.
no, it's not ready yet. Okay. Right. So then
That's
we went
nice.
on.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah. So the next part of what we're going to talk about is the phosphorus, which we were looking at the word phosphorus, which I can type up here for you so you can see it. I'll put it great big letters, like 48 or bigger. Go
And we're always
72.
I'm always talking about
So
minerals, and the phosphorus is
phos for
one of the
us,
primary minerals. Yeah,
right? So we decided the phos means light. So
that's
phosphorus
correct.
means light for us. Phosphorus.
Light for us, and also light bearer. So now we're talking about Lucifer, which is also known as Venus. And if you look back at that chart there, Kim, with the Venus and Earth sign,
Right.
it's about bringing.
I did a separate version of that. So you're big.
Oh, they're bigger. Yeah, that's better. So the cross of matter. This was an image that I saw from a video by Kelly Marie Kerr, and we're going to
Which
share a link with that and talk a little bit about some of the things that she's brought to our attention about phosphorus. But this image I found really interesting as an astrologer. The cross of matter is interesting. And to me, that's Earth. That's the middle garden. That's the mid guard. That's the guard, Guard. No, not just the Garden of Eden. That's the mid guard. And so, with that, can we open our heart to the energies above and below, and or left, right? Can we open up to the possibility that the opposite has a point? You know, can we be okay with opposition? And can we sit in the middle? Can we be that line in the middle between the yin yang? I think that's what the cross of matter is asking us to consider. That's this realm that we're in. It's this earthly realm. So I find that's a really cool image. And so that's the symbol for Earth, and that's the symbol for Venus astrologically. And if you remove that cross, what you've got then is opposition. So the cross, the word cross, angry,
mm,
matter, material, the material realm.
mm,
This is the garden. That's why I call it the garden. It's the in between, and it's the heart. It's the part. It's the part that connects the above and below. I
okay.
think
So this is the video we're going to link for you, Christ, Lucifer, Phosphorus, and Bioluminescence. But one of the things that relates to all of this as well is Claudio's, which I'll link Claudio's channel beneath. But
hmm
Claudio's stuff is also talking about an upcoming event on the 16th of April, which is now only 13 days away, 2 weeks away. And according to Claudio, the upcoming event potentially he's talking about the return of Eros, and
that's correct.
he's talking about
Eris, Eris, I think.
all right,
Eris.
okay, and that at this point so there's an event, and during this event that the phosphorus inside of us becomes ignited, becomes and you'd get that from if you listen to Kelly's video because she talks about um the phosphorus being the like the match. It's talking about we must use the right end of the match. We must use the end of the match with the phosphorus on it. You could strike the match all day with the blank end and nothing would happen. So technically, what Claudio's saying about the 16th and what she's saying about the phosphorus is if you strike it right, it it could have a really, really dynamic shift from within us. Now, we all know we've been down this kind of road many times before, and it doesn't necessarily mean you can build up to a date, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the thing will happen on that date. But it might
Well,
be
and what's
something that you become
tricky
aware of
about
later.
that, yes, what's also tricky about that though, Kim, it's like bending that fork.
Mm,
Like if we imagine it's already done, and if we imagine that's going to
mm.
happen, then lo and behold, we are the creators. Our minds are that powerful.
You're not very good creators because it's not bending.
It's not bending. Well, we're not focusing all our chi energy on it. That's why we'll
Mm.
get that fork bent, but we're gonna have to be quiet and really focus. But it's the same kind of thinking. Like we can obsess over a date, and or what's interesting to me, I know that he says calendar is out of whack, and he's got a very meticulous way of seeing it. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he was right. But the guides that I use, like the almanac that I use, is telling me that there's nothing to see here on that date.
Right.
So that's always very curious to me. Now there is a lot going on around that date. The moon is perigee on the 15th, the day before, and that's when the moon is closest to the Earth. And on the 20th, we have an eclipse. Was it in Aries, 0 degrees Aries, which is
That's
pretty
very
powerful.
that's very powerful.
That's quite powerful. And then on the 21st, Mercury says station. I think it's station direct. So we're coming out of a retrograde period, perhaps. And so all of that is happening in and around that time. I wouldn't be a bit surprised. And with what we're learning about minerals and how it affects our overall well-being, I mean, Dr. Curie says it right on page 7 of his book, Zodiac and the Salts of Salvation. Um, it's the cure for all disease. It's the remedy for all disease. If we had perfect balanced minerals, there would be no such thing as disease. Disease is a condition, it's the opposite of ease, and the light brings comfort and ease into vital parts of our anatomy. And the Caliphos is all for the head. This is phosphoricum. So these are the phosphoric minerals that are the 12 essential minerals that we're always talking about, that Dr. Carey talks about, Santos speaks about. So many people are, yeah, this lady, Kelly Marie Kerr, is trying to bring our attention to. Um, it's telling us that these minerals support our head, our heart, our bladder, kidneys, that's the Libra, and our digestive system, our bones, knees, that's the Capricorn in us, and our blood, and that's our feet, that's our iron, that's our circulation, that's our blood circulation.
So you were telling me that phosphorus contains five of those elements.
Five
Five of
of the 12, 5 of the 12 essential minerals are phosphoricums. So we've got kali phos, magnesium phos, ferrum phos, which is iron, calcium phosphate, or phosphoricum, sorry, and natrium phosphoricum. And so that's 5 of 12 lights. We're trying to light the lamp. And what is curious to me about the 16th, though, is the numerology for that date. And that's not in my almanac. That's something that I just sort of looked at. So what we have is the numbers 4, 1, 6, 2, 0, 2, 3. And so 1, 6 adds up to 7. And I wrote down 4, 7, 7. Well, 4 and 7 is 11. Now we've got 7, 11 backwards, of course. But that adds up to 18, which adds up to 9, which is the number of the
timeline.
hermit, and
And
or the light bearer trying to light the way
mm,
again. So it's
mm,
very important that we bring the most the most valuable food into our experience, and or a good supply of minerals. And so elementally, we're looking at two fires. So I took it into those five elements
Oh,
and I put it into the five minerals and put it into the four elements. And we've got two fire, the ram and the lion. So Aries and Leo minerals. And that's for the head and the heart. And then the water is the two fishes. That's our iron. That's the Pisces. And then the earth is the goat, the water goat, the Capricorn. That's calcium phosphate that's needed to support our bones and digestive systems. And um, and then of course we have our air sign Libra, which is not one of the animals. In fact, it's the only inanimate object on the wheel, and it's the scales. And it balances us. It neutralizes our acid. And we were talking a little bit about what does that Libra look like anyway? And so natrium phosphate is the most important mineral for the Libra. But each one of us benefits from having these minerals in our diet or taking those supplements at least.
okay. So the event that Claudia was talking about on the 16th is the Phoenix Rising event. And I went to the markets yesterday and I bought myself some herbal mixed tea. And then I got it home and I saw it's coded and it's called Phoenix Recovery. It's like one of these tea blends, you know. But I
We
thought
may
it's
all need a
hilarious.
little of that.
Exactly. Especially if we're all gonna go have our light lit
Well,
up.
and it's 0 degrees Aries on the 20th, so we're certainly going to, feel a reset energy eventually, if not on the 16th. We're feeling it. We're in spring energy. Everything is coming back to life. Our lights are coming online again as we see more of the sun here in the northern hemisphere. So it's all of it is opposition, and it's about balancing, you know, so we have a winter. How can we make the most of winter? Well, we create the most comfortable environment for ourselves and we ride it out. We do this every year. We get used to it. Um, but yeah, it's not an easy thing for a lot of people because they go into it and they say things like, "Oh, I hate winter." Well, it's going to be real heavy for you to get through this winter then, isn't
Mm,
it?
mm.
Maybe you can just sort of sit back and try to like it a little bit and prepare for it maybe a little bit better.
So
It's part of being here
Irish has been trying to join us for a chat, but because we're on
right
three
now.
different no, we're on three
Oh,
different time zones, we keep on
yes,
missing each other because
challenge.
it's a challenge for the three of us to get together. Um, so but this is what she put in Truth Meter Tribe, which I can give you a link to. That's Anne Marie's uh Telegram channel.
Mhm.
What causes the frequency of fabrics? So she says that via Dawn Treader. In 2003, a Jewish doctor named Heidi Yallen conducted a survey on the frequencies of fabric. I know I've talked about this before. According to this study, the human body has a signature frequency of 100, and organic cotton is also the same. The study showed that the number is lower if the number is lower than 100, it actually puts a strain on the body. A diseased, nearly dead person has a frequency of about 15. And that is where polyester, rayon, and silk register. Non-organic cotton registers a signature of about 70. So you made a really good point about the silk, because silk was all the rage during the war for the women.
And
Um,
as well as makeup, put your lipstick on, and all of that. I think was sort of born around that time. And really, what were we doing?
silk,
What were we using?
silk
And what
stockings,
was
though. I mean, the silk
such a
stockings were
low vibration.
everything.
I've
Um,
never been a fan. Like there's a lot of materials
yeah,
that people are really fond of, and I'm
uh,
not too crazy about. That's one of them. And
I don't like stockings at all. I
no,
find them
wool
constrictive on the
also
hands.
is so it makes us so itchy. I think,
Mm,
I'm sure there's a good reason to use it, but
mm.
we would have had an abundance of it if we had sheep.
So it says if the fabric has a higher frequency, it gives an energy to the body. This is where
Mm.
linen comes in as a super fabric. Its frequency is 5,000. Wool is also 5,000, but when mixed together with linen, the frequencies cancel each other out and fall to zero. So you can't wear a woolen shirt with a linen pair of trousers. That doesn't work.
And it makes sense to me. I mean, it just still
And
wouldn't
then
feel right. Like if you're going to buy yourself a nice linen dress and you have to put something under it, well, you
if you
cancel
put
it out if you're using polyester or
exactly, you put a
almost
polyester bra,
everything in the
polyester pair
stores
of knickers
here.
on.
Yeah.
Uh,
Plastic, really. What is poly? Poly is plastic.
so
We're
unless
wearing plastic. That's
unless
really lowering our vibration.
unless you're willing to walk around without bras and knickers on, which is a little bit impractical, especially if it's a windy day.
Well, and the fabric is quite sheer. So if you're fortunate enough to find it, it's not enough. You have to have a layer under it.
Well, after wearing a wool sweater on top of a linen outfit, a study collapsed the electrical field. So wool and linen don't work.
We're
This
just
could
going
be
to
the
have to go back to the
reason.
garden, take it all off.
This could be the reason that the energy field of wool
Oh
flows from left
dear.
to right, while that of linen flows in the opposite direction from right to left. So throughout your throughout your I don't know, your polyester knickers, I'd say, and you
Well, and I've been doing that. It's like I say, it's a challenge. We've talked about that before. We've talked about,
know we
having
have.
to make our own
I know,
clothes and,
I know,
what will it take? Everything is plastic. And what's
I
kind
know.
of ridiculous right now is that there's a war on plastic bags, which is fine. That's great. Uh, but everything that we put in the plastic bag is covered in plastic.
I know.
And all of the clothes that we're wearing is plastic. And the money we use, I couldn't find a piggy bank today. I couldn't find a piggy bank because people don't use cash anymore.
Yeah,
It's all plastic.
yeah, yeah.
It's plastic. And now it's barely plastic. It'll be in the air soon completely.
Mm,
You won't need a card. People are already lining up for their chips. I
don't know
mean,
about that.
ooh,
I
yeah,
think there's a
I won't
little
be.
bit too much acceptance of the whole thing. If at least 10 people this week have said to me, soon there'll be no cash.
Uh,
And I'm going, well, where's this programming coming from? Like, why are people espouting this as if they're the knower of knowledge? Like,
Well, because
why are
we
they
hear one
repeating
thing
this?
and then we regurgitate, and this is what the challenge is that so many people are followers. And I'll use like Reiki as an example. People say, "Oh, I'm a Reiki master," and you sit down for a couple minutes and you realize that they actually are not, and that they paid for their diploma, like so many of our professionals these days. I'm aware of many teachers who have left the profession and become tutors because they were being bullied by their administrators. And I'm talking high level education,
Mm,
bullied by their administrators to just give them the mark.
mm,
They paid for that, You
mm,
get parents talk about the airport, Kim. You get
mm,
parents coming into the schools
mm,
and making their demands, and
mm,
the administrators just cave in. And
mm.
and I'm sorry to say, but that is very true. It's not just one person's story. Yeah, I know many teachers who have left the teaching profession for that reason.
Yeah.
It's not about teaching anymore. It's all about money
Mm,
and or misinformation from my perspective. So many of the teachers have now realized that, wait, where are we getting this content that we're regurgitating? And so a lot of the woke community, so-called woke community, is also not using their discernment. They're studying another person's work and they're regurgitating what they've heard
mm.
without having any facts. There are only 7 facts, and it's the 7 Hermetic principles, and everything else is theory.
Right. Let me bring the 7 Hermetic principles up because I was been meaning to talk about that for ages.
Yes,
And
we got part way through it once.
God, we're
There's
terrible, you and
so
I. We
much
just
to cover. There's so much to talk about.
bounce all over the place. Okay.
But
So
it's good because, it's through repetition that we learn. And again, use your discernment. Just because we're bringing it to your attention doesn't mean it's true. It just means that I personally see it's being something is worth looking at.
okay.
Everything is theory unless it's
So
provable. And most things are not provable. We have so much CGI right now.
I know, I know. Principle of mentalism. All is mind. The universe is mental. I agree with that. I've heard that a few times this week. The
Well,
universe is
and
definitely mental at the moment.
this is what we talk about though.
Um,
Everything
I've
is
got a
in the mind. The mind
co-
is powerful.
I've got a very good friend of mine whose mother's currently dying,
Sorry
and
to hear that.
she came to me about a year ago, and she was in a state of severe anxiety a year ago, and we worked virtually all year on the concept of this principle of mentalism that all is mind. It's in your head,
Yeah.
regardless of what you've been told. You've been told you've been prescribed with this condition, you've been prescribed with that condition, you've been told you are that, and you've been walking around a state of being that, and that's all you are. And she had to get over um the feelings of those labels and what those labels did to her and how they made her a victim, but how that was in her own mind, how she chose that. She chose to be a victim of
Well,
it.
because we are the storytellers. We're
Yeah,
creating the story just like everybody else does. Others see me how they see me. I can't even imagine how they see me, nor do I really worry about it. It's not my movie. I've got my own movie to manage. I cannot manage how they perceive me.
no.
I can only do my best to communicate my message, and their perception of my message is not my responsibility.
I'm gonna have to pass this fork on to you because it's not bending. So sorry, but my experiment was a complete failure. So anybody want
Well,
eight
we'll come
forks?
back
I've
to
got
it.
8 forks. If anybody wants them, just send me a text. I'll mail
Well,
them to you. 8 forks
I do
that
think
don't
it's
bend.
important for us to know that we can always connect with our loved ones, even when they're, in this transitional state. And it's important for us to express love and imagine them in the most peaceful and most comfortable
Yeah.
surroundings. We'll just imagine so much light being brought to them, and comfort and ease.
Anyway, the end of that story with the friend that's got her mother dying, she was saying if she hadn't done what she's been doing for the last year and working on herself to actually take control of what's been in her mind and the thoughts, that she wouldn't be able to deal with what she's going through right now. She's got 3 brothers and a sister, I think. And she said that she was absolutely blown away by the last time she went to see her mum, which was last week, how her reflection is completely changed. So they're completely 100% in respect of her and treating her with absolute respect, as against a year ago when they were treating her with disdain. But
Mm.
at the point of her being treated with disdain, she was broken. She was
Oh,
she was exploiting the idea that the doctors have said I've got this and the doctors have said I've got that and this is what's wrong with me, and that's the reason why I'm not up on my game. And then the last 12 months she's worked on herself and now she's just like that. I'm fine. I'm really fine. I can do this. I'm just
she's
really
walking in her
pleased.
power. She's
Yeah,
walking in her power. She shifted her story, and
yeah,
she's now realizing that they can actually see who she has become, who
yeah,
she has been all along.
yeah,
But we're not giving ourselves permission to be authentic
yeah,
and powerful. We really keep it quiet. And especially in this day and age, be careful which words you use. No, I don't think so. It doesn't work for me.
no, no, sorry,
So,
someone
but
sent me a text.
but I will filter myself, like, because I'm very much aware of the power of my words. And so I do my best with the language that I use. I'm far from perfect. And I think, it's something that it's an important part of this lesson is okay, now we know that we are the creators, we're the storytellers, the principle of mentalism, all is mind. Um, okay, what story do I want to create? That's why I say we have this opportunity. Now what?
So
And so, but to be gentle with yourself as those old stories keep coming back, because it's an energy and it'll keep coming around to test you to make sure that you're really serious about shifting into a different dimension. It can be entirely different. You can go completely opposite. Hold a mirror up to all your old beliefs and see how it feels.
consider the initial thought that led you to be able to read this on whatever device you're on, or even the thought that is most influencing your mood right now. When we recognize how much our thoughts manifest every day, whether initially as a psychological or emotional state, or externally as things we do or places we go, we see that we can control our mind and we can control our lives. And we can get better at this through spiritual practices such as meditation, which help us train the mind. Um, and also mindfulness. And I find, I mean, most of my videos or most of our stuff is centered around this anyway, that it all comes back to being your authentic self, so telling your truth regardless, and being
Correct.
empowered to telling your truth regardless of how uncomfortable that might make somebody else feel. So
Well, or at least being comfortable enough in terms of protecting yourself. Again, it's not your responsibility to be concerned with how another person is receiving your message. I mean, of course, we're going to be gentle in certain situations, and filter it in a certain company. Like if we're with a child, you're going to tell a different type of a story than you would if you were in a bar. And so we've got that. I think most of us have that ability to sort of shift already. So just to bring our awareness to our own language
I'll tell you,
and really check ourselves. And I really felt that creating a gratitude journal was beneficial, putting
oh,
a lot of
huge,
emphasis on
huge,
really so much to be grateful for. And
huge.
so much of that gets taken for granted.
Mm.
We have to make time for each morsel
I
and
actually
say thank you.
I actually think that's a really good thing that we can do with kids is get them to acknowledge with gratitude that which is around us. I think that's a really powerful thing if we can train kids to do that so it's like automatic, then it would be so beneficial for them later in life. I wish somebody had taught
Well,
me about
so many
gratitude.
kids, so many kids don't get to learn where their food comes from, or, like, I mean, not everybody is a teacher,
Mm,
not all
that's true.
parents can teach, not all parents can teach, and not all children can learn from certain individuals, you know, it's about discovery. And if we don't have that curiosity, then it'll be missed. It's just beyond our perception, like the rainbow. It's always there, but it's beyond our perception.
Beyond our
The aura,
perception. Yeah.
always there, but beyond our perception. And especially if we're not looking for it, so now we know our mental power is hermetically sealed. It's one of the seven hermetic principles.
Right. So number two, the principle of correspondence. As above, so below, as below, so above. The Kabbalion. We've all heard
Well,
this quote before.
there's that symbol of Venus and the Earth again. It's right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's a mirror. Everything is a mirror. So if it's happening on the micro, it's happening on the macro. It's happening in the earthly realms, it's happening in the heavenly realms.
So,
We're all having this ascension. That's what really calmed me down when I was having it, because it's quite a lonely experience.
mm,
And, you have to walk alone. You have to separate from the herd.
mm.
And you just, you become a completely different vibration of energy.
Well,
And so
I
it's
mean,
natural. Now we know, but
it's saying here it
it's a very
explains the many
isolating
planes of
experience.
existence, and including those that lower and higher vibrational frequencies. I'm talking about the clothes, what we were talking about
Mhm.
last week with the Celestine prophecy, and how somebody could walk into a space and not even be able to see you because your vibration's different than them, or
Correct.
just that whole concept with the the mindfulness of utilizing our energy productively and harnessing that which could be damaging, or finding a different way to go about it rather than spewing or spitting on somebody, finding a different way of deliverance that's not so harsh, or like around the corner, or diverting it, or using to learning to manage it so it doesn't create emotional situations.
Well,
Uh,
we're easily triggered as far as I'm concerned, and especially if we're malnourished.
yeah, there's many. I mean, there's a lot of broken people out there. A lot of
Yes, I agree.
a lot of people, and they don't know where to go, and they don't know what to look at. And I had a dream last night about um being in a room full of brainwashed people and how I couldn't get their
Yeah,
attention.
yes.
It's very bizarre. Anyway, right. So
Well,
number three,
we'll just trust that if anybody's listening, it's because if it's of interest to them, it resonates, and they were ready to hear it,
yeah.
and they were ready to perceive it, and I'd like to know that we've put it there for those people that are seeking, some maybe options, another way of seeing it. How can I manage my energy body?
Mm.
How do other people do this? All we can do is offer what we've learned.
So nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Yes, believe it or not, the idea of vibes has been around a long time. The principle of vibration states that all things, both physical matter and spiritual energy, hold certain vibrations. Basic science tells us that atoms are in constant motion, as in the universe itself. Even our hearts, as they beat, they give off different vibrations depending on our emotional state. When we're vibing high, we're able to avoid low level frequencies that don't serve us. So, I mean, the
Our
space,
thoughts can be very low vibe. We can have low vibrational thoughts like
terrible.
that person we described scowling all the time.
Yeah,
We can keep ourselves there with our thoughts. We
yeah,
can really light ourselves up with our thoughts too,
yeah.
puppies and babies.
Puppies
We
and
talk
babies,
about
yeah.
that, what brings joy into your heart.
Hmm.
If there's not something, then maybe spend some time creating that gratitude journal. There's got to be a morsel of something good.
Hmm. So this will unlock it, be different for everybody, but it's the third principle. So vibration's the third principle. You want to not only do things, but think thoughts that allow you to be in a state of ease, where your body is vibrating at a more positive level. Applying the first two principles can help you start to do this. You might be noticing that these principles are deeply interwoven. With this principle, we acknowledge that we have the power to control our vibration rather than the vibration controlling us. So, I mean, I'd be really interesting to know from you guys how much, I mean, because I've got huge awareness of when my pattern's really low, then I go around correct. I attract all kinds of SHIT to me. And imagine the term the shit sticks to the van when it's going slowly. And then when it goes fast, it flies off because it's spinning so fast, it's going everywhere else but you. Well, it might hit you, but
Well, if
um,
you take the challenge and truthfully, it's pure BS. You might be feeling a great amount of pain. Like when you first decide to take this challenge, you may feel nothing like smiling, but just a simple smile
mm,
can, brings a lot of light into the body and can shift the energy. And now if you add to that some high value thoughts, um, you start to then attract more because we're magnetic.
mm,
And
yeah.
when we become aware of that, it's up to us to take the challenge. It costs nothing. It's up to us to identify what thoughts might need some cleaning up.
Okay. Number four, the principle of polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half truths. That's a hard one that to get. All paradoxes may be reconciled. So the principal polarity. explains the seemingly opposite things are actually one and the same varying degrees. A simple example of this is hot and cold. Cold is just the absence of heat,
Hmm.
but they're both one thing, temperature. So
Uh,
it's a different
it is.
character.
That
It's,
makes
yeah,
perfect sense.
hello. Physical matter and spiritual matter are the same thing, with spiritual energy vibrating at a much higher level, such that it can't be perceived by our senses. Love and hate are two ways of experiencing the same thing, a relationship towards something. There is a foundation of alchemy or the ability to transmute your experiences at will. So, how to apply it? Applying the principle of polarity takes you to a degree of mental stamina and involves shifting the way you look at something, potentially completely different on its head. Take the hate you feel may feel for someone. Is there any way that you could shift it to feelings for love, for example? I
I
can
have to imagine people being as 5-year-olds.
I actually have an
I,
example
I
of
I picture people that are really full of hate. I picture them as belligerent 5-year-olds.
that. Well, I
And then I just think, well, I just want to give you a hug. And you might not be able to get that hug from me right now. But if I just put that thought out there and maybe give you a little bit of acceptance and love, because I think at the end of the day, that's all we're looking for.
when my mum was dying, she was a right nasty piece of work because she was dying from cirrhosis of the liver. She was an
Mm,
alcoholic over her life, and she became really, really, really bitter, which in traditional Chinese medicine or TCM is an imbalance of the liver, which the word associated to it is sour and bitter, and she was bitter and she became nasty. And my mum came to me and he said, I can't stand it, Kim. I can't stand being in the same room as her. She's horrible.
mhm.
She's negative all the time. She whinges and complains all the time. I said, we just think about her in a better time. Think about what a great cook she was, or what great meals she made, or think about her in a different time when she wasn't that. Remember her doing different things other than what she's doing now. And he said to me, what will happen if I do that? And I said, well, she's dying. Um, if you shift your vibration, I mean, she's days away from dying anyway.
Well, our spirit is nothing like this avatar.
Yeah,
We really do restrict, and I think this is why, it's good that we're evolving. I wonder what will be next. Because this vehicle is a bit flawed.
yeah.
We've had we're having a meltdown right now. Physically, people are not well nourished, and it shows
Mm-hmm,
mentally, physically, so many problems that
mm-hmm,
are unnecessary. As far as I'm concerned, we can
mm-hmm,
we can heal and we can heal quickly, but
mm-hmm,
not if we don't think we can. If
mm-hmm,
we think we're screwed, we're screwed.
mm-hmm. It's hard,
And
yeah,
so, yeah, bringing forgiveness into relationships is a real challenging thing, but it benefits you more than anything.
mm-hmm,
Acceptance also, to bring acceptance in, and this is why I say just watch the movie. There's so little that you can do to control what other people are going to say or how they're going to receive what you've said. We have to just accept that they're having their own experience
yeah.
and that it's not necessarily going to
When
make
you
sense to us.
when you say watch the movie, you're talking about your own movie, your own movie. What are you
Everybody's
creating
got their
here?
own, yeah,
Yeah,
we've all got our own
that's
movie.
why
And
this the word
I
script. You are the script. You're
right,
writing
such a
it.
good video, Kim.
You
I
are.
wanted to go back and look at my journal because I felt like, I think you and I were probably having the same thoughts that day. It
Uh,
seemed so familiar and wonderful. Really well done.
thank you. But the point is that we are writing our own script. We are our own boss. We're on
Hmm.
our own lead star. We're our own director. We're the writer of the script. We're thinking up the plot. We're developing the stage set.
Isn't it exciting? like really, what is it that we want to see? But we get stuck in the gloom and doom. We
Mm,
do a lot of doom scrolling, I call it. You
mm.
know, I find myself like if my algorithm goes so and and I get a lot of things that I don't want to see, I will deliberately go in the opposite direction and look for people who are gardening or, doing things that are really, really pleasing to me. I will shift my algorithm,
It's
because
it's
it's,
3:33 at the moment. What does
oh,
three
that's cool.
what does
That's
3:33 mean?
powerful. For me, that's the Empress.
Right.
So for me, it's the time of creation, 3:33 a.m.
Oh,
That's the
PM.
witching hour. PM for me is it's just for me, it's just a peaceful energy. 3:33
It's
a.m. I woke up for years and years. I thought this is a great mystery. I don't understand, but I didn't seem to have any control of it. And then I
right.
started to realize that it was when I was least resistant and that there was a very important message that I needed to write about. And so I started to write the moment I woke up. Before
Wow.
I did anything else, I just let the pen hit the paper and tell me, I need to know. This was tormenting me for many years.
Right. Number five. Sorry. Sound
Sorry,
like
yeah.
just move on. The principle of rhythm. Everything flows in and out. Everything has tides. All things rise and fall. The
Mhm.
pendulum swings and manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. So closely related to the principle of polarity, the fifth principle states that between the opposite poles, there exists an inherent rhythm. The tide moves in, the tide moves out. We inhale, we exhale. Everything is in motion. Nature has its seasons, and so too do we. Understanding this principle, I've got a mosquito. I didn't
Oh,
mention anything about mosquitoes there. Sorry. Understanding this principle allows us to recognize our life and the universe natural rhythms so we can actually work with them rather than having them work against us. So
yeah, I think that there are days that are challenging, and it's important for us to give ourselves space to deal with those days, and but to be able to recognize that the pendulum swings, what goes up must come down. If
yeah,
I'm excited and if I'm getting ready to go on a trip, and then I go on a trip and I come home and I'm tired, well, now doesn't that make a little bit of sense? Why wouldn't we allow ourselves time to recover from the
I
trip? No, we jump right back in. And I know that that's how life is for a lot of people, but our demands are great. And then our battery can only take so much. And especially if we're not getting the light in.
I think that um with regards to pendulum swings, the one thing that I've noticed lately is that becoming aware of your emotional state and becoming aware, going, whoa, I'm feeling upset now. Why? Why am I upset? Or
What is this trying
also,
to tell me? What is
yeah.
the lesson that I'm being asked to learn?
And then it says nothing lasts forever. So I don't know. Very recently, I've become very aware of how fatalistic I am when things go wrong.
Hmm.
It's like, oh my God, no, this is happening, Like the whole world's gonna, I don't know,
But
crash
what
down
if it
on me.
doesn't? What if it all works out?
I know,
What if we just will it? What if we actually think it's already done?
I know. But
Every time, I swear, every time I think, oh, we need to do this or we need to do that, I find people that have already done it.
mm, mm,
So it's happening, and our awareness of it, again, we're just not able to perceive it because we get
mm,
stuck in our thought patterns. It's
mm,
an energy and it's
mm.
infinite. It goes on and on until we discover it and learn to master it.
All right. Well, that's it. To me, yeah, to master it is like to not be so fatalistic when something breaks down. It's like, it's not the end of the world. It can be dealt
It's
with.
okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm all right. It'll be
Mm,
okay. And but no, We don't. We tend to well, it's flight or fight. We talk a lot about the left right brain. The right brain is quite feminine. It's watery, in my opinion, and it represents well, the feminine, but it's also, if it's not in good condition, it can be in a state of flight or fight. When we're in a state of flight or fight, our body is quite weak. Our bladder can be weak. Our So our organs become quite weak and taxed, if you will, because we're always running from a lion, and there's no lion. There's nothing chasing us, but it can be
Mm,
something very small that we're in the habit of getting upset about.
mm,
And if we don't correct that habit, it'll continue to take a great toll on us. So it's important for us to bring light into the body and say, no, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm okay. Because there is no lion chasing me.
yeah,
And the opposite of that is rest and digest. And this is why so many people are in that state. That's a more masculine state of being. It's very logical. Um, well, of course, it's going to be that way. You know, it's just a very different perception again, and it's the polarity. It's part of the Hermetic principles.
okay.
The opposition will always be there.
So when something doesn't go as planned for you, I don't know whether did I read six out, the principle of cause and effect? I didn't. Every cause has an effect, and every effect has a
Mhm.
cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for a law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. Everything's connected through the principle of cause and effect. For each cause of one thing is merely an effect of something else, going back to the very beginning. Ask yourself, are you the cause? Ask yourself, are you the effect? This principle is all about acknowledging the effects of thoughts and behaviors and how we may change them to bring about greater effects. So I think I told you about my 6-year-old niece coming up to me and saying to me, Auntie Kim, why do I have to do things that I don't want to do? And I say, well, you actually don't have to. It's the rewards or the punishments that attach to them. You know, if you don't want to clean up after yourself, then you might get a smack button. Well, you wouldn't in this day and age, you know. But um, and I didn't necessarily say that to her at the time, but I'm just covering
I
off
like
the
I
other.
like your I love your 6-year-old niece.
Mm,
That
oh,
speaks to me because
oh,
I always say I don't want to do what you want to do. I want to do what I want to
yeah, exactly. I don't want to do what you
do.
want to do. Like,
I
why do you
don't
want me
think
to
I've
clean
ever
up?
grown up.
And
Yeah.
it's
What do you
fine
mean?
as
You
long as
want me
you.
to do what? I'm doing this.
And he said, well, like, it's fine if you want to go to school in dirty clothes. That's okay. Don't put your clothes in the washing machine. You know, don't bring them down to be clean. Just go to school in dirty clothes, and then wait till people say, "Ew, making you smell." No.
you know, yeah, no, I think it's tricky being 6, that's for sure. And
Uh,
but part of that is learning to be 7. And at 7, then we become a little more independent.
mm.
And yeah,
It's
so she,
lovely. I mean, I just loved the way she used to throw these questions at me and go, oh, "How do I answer
yeah.
that one?" Okay,
But
so
cause and effect to me is like a push pull. And some people are better at pushing things away than they are pulling things to them. So, for example, money. Uh, we are sometimes, we hate people with money. What is the energy of money? So if you're pushing it away, if you think, oh, I don't like people that have money, well, do you expect to have it? Do you pull things to you?
I don't mind the money. I
Excuse
just
me.
don't like the people that have got it.
Yeah. Well, shift that and see them as
They can leave the
5-year-olds.
money on the table and leave, you know.
I hear what you're saying, but it's
Well,
like
I'm
a
just
it's
playing.
an it's
I'm
an
just playing.
it's an energy. It's an energy of push and pull. So we push it away and I mean it's so subtle, when we say things like that. But what we're doing is we're pushing it away.
Yeah.
And so I mean we think that kind of thing it is funny, but at the same time, careful with that because this is how we continuously don't get the results that we think we should get when we're trying to create the right thinking. So the kind of thinking that will serve us, you know what I'm saying? Instead of the, what did you call it? Like I call it doom thinking. So everything is like doomsday. It's not going to work
Mel
out.
melancholy.
I
Oh,
can't, I can't,
despair.
I can't, it
Absolute.
won't. Yeah,
Never gonna
nothing,
happen to
nothing ever
me.
works.
Yeah,
Right.
nothing's ever gonna be good enough for me. No.
Well, that's powerful spell casting right
Mm-hmm.
there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so it's very important for us to be aware of that. And then so, but if we're good at pushing things away, then push away poverty. Yeah, okay, done with that.
I'm
That's
done with
gone.
that. I'm not doing that
Yeah,
anymore.
ready to pull
Mm-hmm.
abundance,
Mm-hmm.
ready to pull that in and ready to have that experience. I'm ready to taste it. I can, it's already done. I can taste it. I can feel it. I can see it. I can sense it. It's already done. And it sounds like pure BS at first, but you just work that song because everything is vibration and vibration is our sound,
Mm-hmm. So when
among other things.
something doesn't go as planned, you find yourself unhappy, ask yourself, what was the cause? Many times we find ourselves reacting to the world around us, trapped
Mhm.
in back and forth of reacting to our circumstances rather than forging our own path. Classic example of this is my dad coming to me at 14. I went to my dad and said to my dad, oh no, my best friend's having a party and I haven't been invited. Because he picks that in 2 seconds. Have a party of your own on the same day and invite all the same people. And you
Mm,
find out who your friends are.
that's true. That's
Well,
true. That's pretty
actually,
clever.
actually, that's quite good advice, you know. So
That's
that's a
clever.
classic example of we find ourselves reacting to the world around us. Oh no, they don't like me. And you go, nah, I'm gonna take complete control of this. I'm gonna react to the I'm gonna forge through with my own path rather than reacting to the circumstances of what's happened to me.
Well, and I'm going to tell myself that it's going to be easy instead of telling myself that nobody's going to like me. Because if we tell ourselves nobody's going to like me, then that's probably the experience we're going to have.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
opposed to this is going to be fun. I'm going to
Yeah.
meet new people. I'm going to
Yeah.
stay open and be
Yeah.
curious, and I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And if it's
Yeah.
not fun, I'm going to respect myself and leave.
And when we
You
take
know,
action, we
and
get
that's
the
the
effect we want.
boundaries. Yes,
We
the
move in,
authentic, being
we move from a
authentic.
feeling like being a victim to feeling
Correct.
empowered, which was what I was saying about
Correct.
this friend of mine, Diane Mother Ali. She's moved from feeling like a victim to the circumstances of what's around her to feeling empowered in her life.
Mhm.
She's also used to be a palliative nurse, so because she's used to dealing with dead people or people dying, that is her position of power because she's got 20 years experience in it. So everybody's like turning to her and saying, what do we do now? What do we do now? Which is great. It's really good for her.
It is
Right.
good for her to see that now she can like activate that avatar. You know, she has all that knowledge, and it's unfortunate that she's having this experience at this time, but
Yeah.
obviously she's been more than a little prepared for this. You
And
know, she
preparing
would
for it all her life.
and but
So
particularly in the last year, I mean, I feel things happen for a reason. So having this knowledge makes it a lot easier for us to witness the transition of our loved ones. Because even though you've got 20 years of experience, it's still a loved one.
yeah. So
And
the last one,
yeah,
I don't think we should talk about this because it's a bit unpopular.
no, I think it's important because it's in nature. Everything has gender, masculine, feminine. And the way that we interpret that is you know, I mean, no offense. I know children that won't go to school unless there's cat box in the classroom, and I'm not joking
A cat
because
box.
they think they're cats, and you know, I mean, no disrespect, but like to say that there isn't gender in everything is outrageous, and I'm sorry that a child thinks that they're a cat, but somebody might want to tell them
You
instead of accommodating them with a cat box.
wow.
And so it's not an uncommon thing And I think it's very desperate expression of I don't know. I mean, I can't even, I
I
would have
think it's
never, I would have not ever imagined this. But no, I do think that this is an important piece of the puzzle.
yeah,
It's important for us to recognize that our thoughts can be masculine and feminine.
yes,
There's gender in our thoughts.
yes.
There's gender in everything.
I can
Curious
honestly
to
see
hear what
that
this
as
person
those
has to
aspects.
say.
I can see aspects in me that's traditionally thought as a male aspect. Like,
If
for
you're a strong
instance,
woman, if you walk in your power and you don't have your head down, then you know,
but
I don't know how people
like
perceive me,
driving,
and again, I
driving,
don't worry about it.
driving, for instance, being a good driver is a known man masculine trait. Yeah, I'm a female and I'm a very good driver.
Likewise,
So, it's that part of me's balanced.
to me, the masculine trait is it's all the masculine and the feminine. It's all on a sliding scale, and some things are more masculine in nature, and some things are more feminine in nature.
mm,
And if we're talking about sexuality, I don't think I think that that is predetermined, and I do not see anything unnatural about people being homosexual or, having these experiences that they have with their gender identity. I don't think it's an unnatural thing so much as I think that in general, I know people that are born that way. I've seen them as children present this way. No doubt in my mind, it's a perfectly natural state of being for some of us. No criticism is meant here. But I do think it's important for us to recognize that the avatar, when it has a penis, is known to be male and then female with the vagina. But that doesn't mean that, like all other words, it's not open to debate. But the gender here is, I think, it's quite specific. The male and female plant, it's it's just part of how we got here.
it,
It's the
it says the unity of these two energies is essential for creation.
correct.
And when one has balance in both, then they're better able to apply the principles together for maximum benefit. If you see a man and a woman working together, they work really well together. If you see them I mean, in work environments, sometimes you can get that combination of those two, and you make a really powerful team, or a partnership, or even families. Uh, how many people out there are still living with one or other of their parents, or their
Well, what do they
children?
say? My other half.
Yeah, yeah,
Because we do actually really complement each other.
yeah,
Good cop, bad cop. It's
yeah,
nice to have both halves of the
yeah,
whole.
yeah. And it brings
You know,
balance to things because you can get a little bit spacey about stuff sometimes, and that
it'd be really boring if everybody agreed all the time.
I know.
We have so much to learn. We wouldn't be challenged if we weren't constantly in a state of curiosity. And to me, that's what science is all about. It's being open to new possibilities. But there seems to be an awful lack of that.
Right, I think I'm going to cut it off there.
I
Um,
think we made it, Kim. We made it to the seventh.
we
And
did.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I mean I didn't mean any harm. I think you were right, Kim. It is a touchy subject, but I think it's an important one for us to
What's there?
recognize. It's there. Whether we're ready to have that conversation or not is debatable, but it is part of
I mean,
our experience.
I was looking at that sign before. I know it's not quite right, but that one. I mean, I don't know what are the male and female signs? Is that the meeting in the middle? I think one's to one side, isn't it? The
Well,
sign
they've depicted Mars Venus as opposite, but I don't.
sign
It doesn't feel
of
right.
male.
Mars Venus Earth feels right to me because of
That
the
yeah,
whole
it's that.
Lucifer Christ connection,
It's the gender
and
symbols
so
there.
there's that kind, yeah, and so you'll see the symbol for opposition. Sometimes these charts are good.
Female, male,
Correct. And
By
so they're saying Mars is male.
big gender. I don't know what big gender is. That's big gender too. I don't know what that
Yeah, I
is. That's
don't know these symbols,
big
Kim. Some of
gender,
them I'm not too familiar with.
demigender, epicene, androgyny, neutrals. I don't know what I don't know what the
I'm
pangender.
not familiar. They've seen some of them are familiar and some of them
That one
seem to be
that
maybe
that one
new.
must be for pandas.
Pandas. Oh dear. Yeah,
Oh, that one's for
this is,
Butch. Look at the one for Butch. That looks quite
I,
harmful.
I do think it's important for people to create things for children, like just whatever it is that's within your reach, whether it's a song, a story, a little bit of time throwing a ball, just being connected to nature, even going out to the garden. It's important for us to create stories that children can really learn from, but also be able to express their feelings with, because so much of our world right now is really confused.
Yeah.
And, we're at the very least recalibrating everything.
Yeah.
And so the children won't know if up is down or down is up.
Uh,
And I think it's more important than ever for them to have an opportunity to learn about their spiritual side. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about that little voice that guides them. They know it very well. And if the adults around them are telling them that that's nonsense, that's crazy, um, then it would be nice to know that there's something out there that the child can find if they don't have the people around them that can help them through these days of confusion.
when I think
So,
about it, I think that, a lot of us were brought up by children anyway. A lot of us, our
oh,
parents were children when they
all
had
did their
us,
best.
and
They
they
all
did their
did their
best.
best.
They did their best, but they were children. They were very young, and I mean, I sometimes reflect upon um like the conversations that I spent a lot of time with my grandparents when I was growing up, but I reflect upon the types of conversations they had. And I don't remember anybody ever having a conversation about how they felt. Or, I mean, it was always like, how do you like your sausages cooked? Or, um, do you, do you want me to cut that roast down? It was always something like
Well,
practical.
expressions like children are seen, not heard. I think we've never been allowed to be in touch. Once upon a time, shock treatments were quite common.
Yeah,
Apparently, it's still a thing,
yeah, yeah.
which is shocking.
I
No
I knew
pun
it. I knew
intended.
a girl who had a degree in something, and she received shock treatment after having twins. She was in it. She was late. I mean, she's like in her 80s, but she received shock treatment having after having twins in her 30s because she became depressed, and she lost her ability to speak, and she
No doubt. I mean,
never regained it.
elect, they're electrifying you. You know, they're
I mean,
shocking you,
she was
literally electric on your brain. And I don't know how they do it. I don't know how prods. I don't know if it's a needle now. I really don't know.
that's terrible.
But I do know that it's still an option, and it's disturbing to think that that's still an option. I thought it was outlawed, but apparently not. And some people will ignorantly line up for that. I say ignorantly, meaning they just simply have not been shown that there's another way. The propaganda is all around, these, I think sometimes extreme measures when a mineral might just change your life.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's wait and see what happens with April. I think it'll be a curious time. The
Oh,
pink moon,
we've got a
the
pink moon
full,
on the 6th of April, which is the one you were talking about, which is a Libran moon, which
yeah,
is and
scale.
the moon always remember the moon always highlights the shadow side of self. So the shadow side of Libran is and that this is what it highlights in you. It's like highlights the aspect about you being a control freak, or highlights the aspect about you needing to control what's happening. So if things like that are going on in your life and you're not in control of them, let it go. Just
Let it go. Yeah,
wash your
I
hands
think
and
that's
go,
really valuable.
let
I
it
think
be.
we're in Ramadan right now,
Yeah.
and I think it's all about really letting go and purging and preparing yourself for the seeds to grow and flourish. And we have to put that kind of song into the plant or it won't thrive.
Thank,
And we are the plants with complicated emotions.
thanks, Ginger. Sorry for keeping you up half the night.
Oh, that's
Um,
okay. It's always nice to have time with you, Kim. And yeah, obviously minerals are important. It brings light into our body, and there's more, but those ones there, the five of 12, so important for us to learn this stuff, and just take a chance, see how it feels.
bye.
Bye.
Take care.